Hey everybody, Mike Iaconelli. Want to talk to you about my recent 9th place finish at Smith Lake in Alabama at the Bass Pro Tour event, Major League Fishing. Man, I had a good one. I had a good tournament and caught the fish 3 different ways, really imitating 3 different things. Really for me, this was a tournament about staying flexible, keeping an open mind, but the biggest thing was matching the hatch, really trying to imitate what those fish were feeding on. And I want to show you 3 of the key baits that I used during the week. First one was, there was a shad spawn going on in the morning. The interesting thing is normally with the shad spawn, you could take a big spinner bait, a white swim jig, a buzz bait, and you could just kill them. But they weren't eating regular size shad. They weren't eating 3, 4, 5 inch shad. The spawn was going on and all the shad that were spawning were 1 to 2 inches long. Really little shad that were spawning. And until I matched the size of that forage, I didn't get a bite. Once I downsized, boy, I started catching them. And that lasted for the first couple hours, first period of the day, I can make that bite go. I had to really downsize. This is a bait that you're going to look at it and you say, this is a crappie size bait. This is a Berkley power bait, a really cool bait called a ripple shad. And this is in the 3 inch. And I want you to look at it. Look how small that bait is. But it has that very natural looking baitfish shad profile. Of course, it's got that little tab tail on it. And I kept it real simple and I fished it with a 1/16 and an 1/8 ounce VMC jig head. This is a finesse half moon head. And, you know, real simple. I just threaded that thing on there and left that hook exposed. And the great thing about it is, now look at that. Perfect imitation of those little 2 and 3 inch shad that I saw. And I could really, if a fish bit this, I caught it. 95% of the time, if he bit it, I caught it with that open exposed head. Great pattern for me in the morning. Fished that on a 7.4 medium light Abu Garcia Ike rod with a 20 size Abu Garcia Ike Revo spinning reel. And I used Berkley X5 Braid in 10 pound to an 8 pound Berkley Trilene 100% fluorocarbon leader. Key bait for me every morning, imitating that little shad. Then the next thing, usually the second into the third period, the sun would come up and I would totally switch gears and I'd go to imitating a bluegill. And I was targeting lay down trees, hardwoods, pine tree, didn't matter. Any tree that was laying down in the water, I would use that afternoon sun to help position those fish under those trees. And the bait I threw was a bait that I love when I'm imitating small bluegill. And that's a 1/2 ounce green pumpkin missile mini flip jig. Great jig. It's small, it's compact, but it's dense enough to get down on those branches. And I was catching them out of the heart of the trees. I'd pitch right into the middle. The other key thing was the trailer. And I used a 3 inch green pumpkin Berkley chigger crawl. It's my favorite trailer of all times for a missile mini flip. And for fish, mainly spotted bass, eating bluegill in those trees, that was a perfect bait. I fished that on the Abu Garcia Ike rod, the 7.2 medium heavy power series rod, and I paired that with an 8-0-1 Abu Garcia Revo Ike reel. And last but not least, I just used straight Berkley Trilene fluorocarbon, 100% fluorocarbon in 17 pound tests. I wanted to downsize a little. Usually I throw 20 or 25, but 17 got me some extra bites and I landed those fish out of the trees. You know, the last one really saved me the last few days. And because the lake was getting really pressured and the bite was sort of getting tough as the week went on, I went to one of my all-time favorite, what I call cleanup bait. When things get tough and you need to just catch fish, this is the kind of bait to do it. And I used the wacky jig head the last 2 days, caught a lot of my fish to get me to the finals on this little setup. And if you look at it, it's such a simple rig. It's basically it's a 4 inch green pumpkin Berkley Power Bait General just a 4-inch green pumpkin stick bait. I rigged that with an 1/8 ounce VMC Ike approved wacky jig head, and I just would wacky rig it. The great thing about this rig, if you notice, we got a little wire guard on it right there, that little wire guard. A lot of these wacky jig heads don't have that little guard. That guard's great because I can throw this anywhere, next to a dock, in a bush, out in open water, doesn't matter. And I would throw this thing, literally let it sink, and that bait has got amazing waving action on the fall. I'd let it hit the bottom. If I didn't get a bite, I'd shake it a few times, maybe 30 seconds. If it didn't get a bite, I'd reel it in, make another cast. Really simple bait, but when the fishing's starting to get tough, this is a cleanup bait. It really helped me in the last 2 days. I fished that on the same combo that I did the finesse swim bait. This is the Abu Garcia Ike Series finesse rod, 7.4 medium light. I paired it with an Abu Garcia Ike Revo in the 20 size, and the same line combination. That's that Berkley X5 Braid in white. I like the white so I can see it, in 10 pound. And I went to a 8 pound Berkley Trilene 100% fluorocarbon leader. So, man, I'll tell you, what a good week. Another top 10. I made another Super Sunday at MLF. Really proud of it, on a lake that was fishing pretty tough. Clearwater Smith Lake. Pretty happy with the 9th place finish. Great tournament. Hope you got to watch some of it live. And all this stuff I just talked about, of course, you can get it on Tackle Warehouse.